Work against the Phillies, a team he is 1-2 against in his career with an ERA of over 6. He'll face Jimmy Rollins. Rollins in at 223. That may not seem where he usually is, but that's up from 195. He's hit in 8 straight and hit over 300 during that period, so his average has gone from 195 up to where it is right now. His 33rd start in the leadoff spot. Charlie Manuel bumped him down to the deeper in the order to give him some days off. Shane Victorino is the only other player who's hit in the leadoff spot. He's hit there 5 times. There is the defending world champions manager, Charlie Manuel, a guy who has made a career of baseball, 65 years young, is the manager of this Philadelphia Phils ball club. Outstanding hitting instructor, was a good power hitter, played in Japan, won the home run title in Japan one year. Cleveland Indians hitting instructor, then the Indians manager, and all told his 8th season as a manager. Back-to-back Eastern Division titles as the Phillies manager. Rollins sends this to left. Look out. That's the tough Sun field. Darnell McDonald is under it. He'll squeeze it. And Rollins is retired for the first out. Let's check that Phillies lineup for Charlie. Rollins will lead it off. Chase Utley, who's hit well against Orang, 7 for 14 and a homer. Raul Ibanez will hit behind him in the 3 spot. Ryan Howard, who homered last night, his 9th of the year, hits cleanup. Jason Worth, Shane Victorino, Pedro Feliz, Chris Coast, and Moyer, the pitcher, bats in the 9th spot. Moyer already has clipped the hit total for this year. He's in at 111. That is your starting lineup for tonight. Still 1 away, and here's Utley. Chase at 289, 10 homers, 26 knocked in on the season. Showed you the numbers against Orang. He is the most proficient of all the Philly hitters. 7 for 14, 501 home run. Breaking ball drops in there for a strike, says Adrian Johnson, the home plate umpire. Dan Iasonia is the umpire down at first. Sam Holbrook at second, and Kentucky's own Charlie Rutherford, the crew chief, and the umpire down at third for game 2 of this 3-game set. Reds trying to get off the schneid against the Phillies. Like the Phillies here at Great American Ballpark are 14-9 against the Reds. And the last 2 years, 6-3 against Cincinnati. There's Utley, who underwent hip surgery, and they really didn't know how long he would be out, but he came back remarkably well. Started off slow in spring training, and he's back in the lineup. And as usual, one of the grinders of this Philadelphia offense, and this is a good offense, Chris.
Oh, are you kidding me, George? They can score some runs, and they score them in bundles, and they give right-handed pitchers fits because of the switch hitters. There's one of them, Shane Victorino. Of course, you have Jimmy Rollins, switch hitter at the top. Victorino, switch hitter down towards the bottom. And in the middle, you've got a murderer's row of left-handers, one after another, that if you're a right-handed pitcher, you've got to have a pitch to get those guys out.
Utley slices this to left center. Over taking charge is McDonald. Darnell has it, and he's taken care of the first 2 outs at 2 away. There's your 4 defensive alignment for the Reds, who come in 14th in the league in defense. Cincinnati has McDonald with a left-hander going, the right-handed swinging McDonald's in left, Taveras and Bruce, and it's Jerry Hairston Jr. back at third, Gonzalez Phillips the double play combo, and Ramon Hernandez back from behind the plate is out at first, and Ryan Hannigan behind the plate. That is your 4 defensive alignment. Here's Raul Ibanez, who came over from Seattle in the offseason. Boy, what a impression he's made. Charlie Manuel, his manager, said, you know, I knew a little bit about him, of course, because Charlie was in the American League with the Indians, and I always respected him as an opposing player, but I have even more respect for him now when I watch him day in and day out. How good is this Phillies team offensively? They're #1 in the league. The home run last night by that guy Ryan Howard, the 51st of the year. They're 1st in the league in homers, 51. Compare that to the Reds, who have 40. And they produce runs better than anybody else, Chris. And probably even more importantly, not only do they produce a lot of runs, but they're #1 with runners in scoring position, and that's produced a lot of late inning runs.
Well, you're looking at a guy in the batter's box right now in Raul Ibanez, who has a .307 lifetime batting average with runners in scoring position. So he hits them when they mean it.
And what is he this year? .375. He's one of 4 players in this lineup that's 3 60 or better with runners in scoring position. So you know why they produce some runs.
Hey, with the way he's hitting this year, he's got to be wondering to himself and his agent, hey, why didn't you get me over here in the National League sooner? Why am I spend all those years in Seattle?
We joked with him when we saw him in Seattle a couple of years ago that you belong in the National League. See, you know, I always thought I would be a National League player. That one misses inside, and he's showing he could play defense. He's showing he could play the National League style of baseball too. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bañez, Seattle, Kansas City, then Seattle again in the American League, and signed as a free agent this offseason. Waves at that, and Harang has a 1-2-3. Strikeout number 1 for Aaron. Harang will take a breather. Taveras to the leadoff spot when we return. Dusty Baker and the Reds coming into this one. Willie Taveras will try to end an 0-for-19 string in the leadoff spot. Jerry Hairston Jr. bats second. Brandon Phillips is 1-for-3 against Moyer. Hits in the number 3 spot. Then Jay Bruce, Ramon Hernandez. How about those numbers for Alex Gonzalez? 4-for-6 and a homer against Jamie Moyer. McDonald, Hannigan, Harang, that is 1 through 9. Your starting lineup for Dusty Baker and the Reds, who try to end a 4-game losing streak against this man, Jamie Moyer.
Well, Jamie Moyer, you see that inflated earned run average at 8.15. He had a pretty good start to the season, but since April the 21st, his last start against the Florida Marlins, where he gave up 1 run in 6 innings, he has been belted around big time, and that covers his last 3 outings. Nearly 19 runs in 12 innings his last 3 starts. He's looking for a way to get out of that little mess that he's in. And you know, and when you throw as slow as Moyer, and his fastball is going to come in there anywhere from 82 to 85, your margin of error is not very big. I mean, the hitting zone gets awfully big when hitters get a good look at that pitch.
There's Willie trying to end the 0-for-19 scheme. 1 ball and 1 strike to Taveras. And with those first 2 deliveries here at Great American Ballpark, Moyer is now appearing in his 48th different stadium, the most among all active pitchers. Added 2 this year. Citi Field was the 47th, and this is the 48th. And among games started and active leaders, Tommy Glavine, who's trying to come off the disabled list, number 1, Johnson 2nd, and Moyer is 3rd. Showing bunt, missing it, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I'll tell you what, if he is going to bunt, it should not have been down to the 3rd baseline, because Pedro Feliz is only about 15 feet from home plate by the time that pitch finally got to home. He was charging hard. With 2 strikes, they'll go back to normal positioning.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Taveras. Off the end of the bat, blooped into left center. It will be off the edge of the glove. A big turn for Taveras. He'll hold it first. It'll go as a base hit, so that ends the 0 for 19 string. Taveras is on. Let's see if the Reds can get the running game and the offense going here in the first. Here's your Ford defensive alignment for the Phils, who are #1 in the league in defense. They've committed only 11 errors. That is the fewest number of errors in all of Major League Baseball. Moyer, even at the age of 46, is a slick fielder in the middle of the infield. Chris Coast gets to start behind the plate tonight. That is your Ford defensive alignment. So let's see if Willie will be off and running. He's stolen 11 of 12. The Reds trying to manufacture some runs, something they've had difficulty doing in the middle of this 4-game losing streak. Here's Jerry Hairston Jr. in at 245. 4 homers, 10 knocked in. Against Moyer in his career, he's 3 for 17. Last night, Hairston had a homer in the 6th, his 4th of the year. He had a 1 for 4 night. Bunt will roll foul.
Jamie Moyer is one of those left-handers with a big high leg kick you see right there. That's a bunt for a base hit. If he gets out about another 6 inches fair, it will stay fair. But once it hits the dirt, you can kiss that one foul. Moyer can be deceptive, though. This year he has given up 3 stolen bases. They've not thrown a runner out. Overall in his career, 131 successful stolen bases against 53 throw outs. But that covers a lot of ground in 23 years.
He's methodical in his move. He'll change his pacing. But he's, as his career has developed, spent a lot of time concentrate on the hitter, not on the base runner. We'll see if Taveras, and they'll toss over there. There's your balance point, Chris, and the key is to read it perfectly if you're Taveras. He's going. The delivery to the plate down to third. It will eliminate the chance for 2. They'll get the out. Taveras had the base stolen big time. I mean, he could have walked into second. He had 6 steps before the pitch was delivered.
Well, it really comes down to picking the right pitch to go on. You lift your leg up the same way if you're a left-handed pitcher, and you hope he doesn't go. He's already made his mind up. However, Jamie Moyer, most every left-handed pitcher does or should make your mind up before you lift your leg up, whether you're going home or going to first base. Because if you wait and then decide to go home at the last second and the runner doesn't go, your concentration is not on your pitch, and that's when you get hurt the most.
So runner in scoring position. Fortunately, sending the runner avoids the possible double play. And here's Brandon. And to right. That's going to be a base hit. Here comes the runner from third. Here comes the throw to the plate. Will not be in time. And going to second will be Phillips. They had the chance to cut it. I don't know whether Coast yelled or not, because the throw was up the line. They had no chance to get the runner. Fortunately for the Reds, the throw goes through, and sitting at second in scoring position is Brandon Phillips. The Reds lead 1-0.
Really good bit of hitting. That's 2-strike hitting for Brandon Phillips on the first pitch he sees. Normally we see him up there ripping through the strike zone trying to pull something, but you know against Moyer, he's not going to give you anything to do that with. And Brandon Phillips scoots in the second base, no problem.
So Brandon's in scoring position. Taveras scampers home. And here comes Jay Bruce.
You know, George, I don't know if it's just me noticing this or whether it's true or not, but it just seems like Brandon Phillips has really ramped up his game from an energy and a hustle standpoint since Joey Votto has begun to miss time with his dizziness. You know, the ball club needs a leader, and he's really beginning to, it seems like he's playing harder, running harder, doing a lot more things than he's ever done before. And he just forced Moyer into a balk.
That's a balk. How often do you see that from the veteran? Moyer started, he never got off the rubber, and he had already started his motion. And you say you can't balk to second. Well, there's an example where you can't.
You're exactly right. As long as your foot is still in contact with the rubber down there, you can balk to second base. And he did that. He turned with his foot still on the rubber, tried to make a throw, couldn't do it.
If he had kept wielding around and had turned his body around to second, it would not have been a balk. But you're right, Chris. On the plate at first, he had already committed himself. And here, same thing.
You know, I can't remember the last time I've actually seen this. See, what he did was he lifted his leg up and he stepped towards first.
Yep.
And if you step towards an unoccupied base, you have to, of course, you have to throw where you're going to step, and that's where the balk is. And I don't think I've seen that in a long time, at least not in a major league field.
Well, for Jamie Moyer, it's his first balk since 2006 and only the 12th of his career. Upset with himself undoubtedly. Now the equation is completely different. If Bruce can just get a ground ball to the right side, the Reds will have a 2-0 lead. No balls, 2 strikes. Jay in at 232 with his team leading 12 home runs. Now Moyer gets the strikeout. That is strikeout number 1 for him. And there's your second out. So unable to get a ground ball to the right side, a productive out. Moyer has a chance to get out of this situation.
That's amazing right there. I know that the hitting background right now is very bad and tough, but still striking out against Moyer with a man on third base when the guy's only throwing maybe 82, 83 miles an hour. That's a tough thing to swallow as a number 3 hitter. That's a situation where you really have to put the ball in play.
Well, let's see if Ramon Hernandez can pick him up. He's in at 293, a homer, 4 knocked in. Last night, Ramon had a 2-for-3 night, a double, a single, and a sacrifice fly that plated the Reds' 3rd run in the 6th inning. That pulled them to within 1, 4-3. The Reds could not score from that point on. With Joey Votto out, Ramon is back at first base tonight, and Hannigan behind the plate. Down the middle for a strike, 2-1. He holds on it, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Alex Gonzalez on deck. Patience, that's something Charlie Manuel has had the last couple of years on a Philly team that has had stretches of incompetence but then rallied and come back, led by guys like Moyer. And there's a ball 4 that's wide. First walk issued by Moyer. It's 1st and 3rd, and here comes Gonzalez, who's had more success than anybody, 4 for 6 against Moyer.
Well, this is the problem part for the Philadelphia Phillies. I mean, if you want to call it a problem part, because after all, they are in first place in their division. But the fact is that their starting rotation, after you get past Cole Hamels, is a pretty big drop-off. Brett Myers, of course, is a fine pitcher. We're going to see Joe Blanton tomorrow. But Jamie Moyer right now is a weak link. And they're hoping that this old guy can finally get it back together the way he used to have it. Last year, he led this ball club in victories.
16 wins last year. And in fact, when he won 16 last year, he joined a guy by the name of Phil Niekro as an over 40 pitcher at the age of 45, was able to win 16 games. Rarefied air. And the air to center field. Victorino there. He should squeeze it. He does. The Reds will strand a pair. The base hit by Phillips gets Moyer for a run in the 1st. The Reds lead at 1-0. position. Last night, in the last 3 innings, this was the story. Ground balls and fly balls. They were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, including the final out pop-up off the bat of Jerry Hairston Jr. that ended the Reds' hopes with 2 men on base as Brad Lidge got the save. Your Elk and Elk Storylines brought to you by Elk and Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. 0 for 7 last night, didn't get it done. And Chris, on a team that doesn't hit a lot of home runs, you've got to be able to capitalize on your opportunities.
Well, you hope you can, George. You know, you have to give the credit to some pitchers. After the last 2 pitchers they've seen, Cole Hamels and Jake Peavy, I mean, they're about as good as you're going to see. So you don't bury yourself because of those 2 guys shutting you down. But certainly during this 4-game losing streak, the Reds are 1 for 18. Runners in scoring position. They've had their chances. In fact, even against Hamels and Jake Peavy, they have had the tying run on right down to the very last out of the ball game and just have been unable to get it around.
Well, the first run of the night came off this guy's bat yesterday, Ryan Howard, his 9th home run. And when you add it up over the course of the last 4 years, nobody's hit more home runs than that guy. He's been a Rookie of the Year. He's been a most valuable player. Last year he finished 2nd in the MVP race. The year before he finished 5th. The year before that he won it. Last night, and when he starts going to left and left center, Chris, you know he's dialed in, and that's where he went last night.
Well, he certainly did go there last night, George. He got a little spinner of a breaking ball up there after seeing a couple inside fastballs that he did not like. I thought Johnny Cueto really did him a favor by speeding his bat up with that slider last night.
In the air to right field, Bruce is there, a one-handed. Howard is retired. There's one away here in the 2nd. Howard against Harang has only 2 hits. He's 2 for 11, but both of those have been home runs. Thus far this year, Aaron has allowed 5 home runs in his 52 innings of work. Here's Jason Worth. Worth at 285, 7 homers, 24 knocked in, 0 for 3 against Aaron in their matchups. Worth hitting in the 5 spot tonight. Phillies and the Reds playing 3 games here at Great American Ballpark, and then in July the Reds will go to Philadelphia for 4 right before the All-Star break. The 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th of July. A 4-night game trek for the Reds on a trip where they go to Philadelphia, New York, and then head to the All-Star break. Now, Chris gave you the litany of pitching problems that the Phillies have, but their offense has been able to really solve a lot of those problems and enable them to stay in the thick of the race. In fact, with their win yesterday and the Met loss, they're a game ahead in the Eastern Division. They're 21-16, 5 over 500, and you have to figure that in spite of the bad pitching numbers, for them to be where they are, they have to feel pretty lucky, and that's exactly what Charlie Manuel says.
Well, he always likes to downplay that kind of a thing, George. You know, he felt he was lucky to be in the World Series last year, and then lucky again when they won it. But it's a streaky team. They have 2 times this year won 5 games in a row. They're on a 5-game winning streak right now after taking 4 in a row from the Nationals and then last night's ball game against the Reds. But where they've really done their damage is on the road. They're 13-4 this year on the road. That's the best record in all of baseball.
A record that was even Steven with the Reds until the Reds' 3-game losing streak in San Diego, and Chase Utley and the rest of the Phils have just kept winning. They swept Washington, and they've won another one here.
And they were really good on the road again last year. They were 7 games over 500 last year at 44-37. So they're a team that, you know, has enough offense that it travels with them.
Got him. Strikeout number 2 for Harang. 2 away here in the 2nd.
Both the strikeouts that Aaron Harang has so far, fastballs. He threw a high fastball right by Raul Ibanez, and ditto that for Jason Worth going up the ladder.
Harang's 9th start of the year. The year where he's picked up his 1,000th career strikeout. Last time out he lost in San Diego in his 200th appearance, returning to his hometown of San Diego. Lost to the Padres. There's Victorino in at 256. Shane last night had a 1-for-4 night, a single. Drive to left. That's going to get past McDonald, go all the way to the wall. Victorino will have at least two. He'll take a big turn and settle for the 2-out, 2-base hit.
Well, the guy's got a lot of speed, and when he has learned to hit like this, Shane Victorino has simply trumped his own talent because he's made himself an all-around player. He's always been very fast. He's always been a guy that when he gets on base, he's a base-stealing threat. But when he starts slicing the ball the other way, he's also got enough power to go deep from time to time. A very dangerous hitter. When Charlie Manuel wants to put him in the number 2 spot, it's like having 2 leadoff guys back-to-back with Rollins and Victorino at the top of the order.
Here's Pedro Feliz, who's off to a good start at 3:15. And it was faith of Milt Thompson, faith of Charlie Manuel, that the Phillies allowed Aaron Rowan to leave town and sign that long-term contract in San Francisco, because they felt comfortable that Victorino could take over in center field and be a good offensive player as well as a solid defensive player, and they were right.
Well, some of that had to do with money, obviously, sure, because Aaron Rowan wanted middle of the order money, and he got it out in the Bay Area. They weren't going to pay that much money. Very similar to what happened last year with Pat Burrell. Burrell was a good offensive player, and he fit in nicely with this Philly ball club. Obviously, they won the series with him, but they weren't going to pay him the kind of money he wanted. He ended up going to Tampa Bay, and they ended up getting Raul Ibanez, and Ibanez has been terrific for him.
Burrow just placed on the disabled list this past week with recurrence of back problems that have bothered him off and on through his career. Ibanez may have been, to this point at least, the most important acquisition, free agent acquisition, in the National League. He solidified this offense big time in the first 6+ weeks of the season. There's the 1-2. Picks up strikeout number 2 in the inning, number 3 in the game, and they'll strand the runner at second. Harang's due up third when we return. Reds lead at 1-0.
Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. By JTM, food, family, fun. JTM. And by Jeep. You talk, we listen. It's a new day. Have fun out there. Jeep.
Reds trying to have a little fun tonight against Jamie Moyer. They got a run in the first. A couple of hits and a walk. Moyer wriggled out of more damage. And here we go. 7, 8, and 9 due up for the Reds. McDonald, Hannigan, and Harang. Darnell in at 189. A bouncer wide at third. Feliz solid defensively, shows you why, and there's one away. If you're a shortstop, Chris, nice to have a guy that can range like that to your right.
I'll tell you what, he's as good as you get out there, Pedro Feliz is, and anything he hits is a plus. They knew what they got defensively when they got him over there. You put him down in the bottom part of the order, and he's got enough pop to make you worry about him from time to time. But, you know, normally everything that comes down the left side of the infield, you've got two guys that can range a long way. Jimmy Rollins up the middle and Pedro Feliz both ways, lefty and right.
Feliz, of course, played with Dusty Baker in San Francisco. Baker really brought him along in the Giants organization. Always knew he could feel and helped him mature as a major league hitter, too.
Well, it was his hit last night that started that inning against Johnny Cueto. I think it was the 4th inning that Cueto gave up the runs in, and it was a ball that he hit the right center field. Unusual for Feliz to hit the ball that way, and they were commenting after the game. Dusty Baker and his good buddy Gary Matthews, Sarge, saying, hey, once Feliz starts doing that, look out. This guy's, you know, you really realize your potential.
Gary Matthews, the former hitting instructor for Dusty when Dusty was the manager in San Francisco, and Sarge now a broadcaster with the Phillies as they're in town. Here's Hannigan in at 311. 0-2 fouled off.
I guess you heard the story about the Phillies. They went to go see the President Obama, and after they gave the address, he came back off the podium and he was saying goodbyes to all the dignitaries that were there. He looked over at Gary Matthews and says, hey, what's up, Sarge? And continued to walk on. They said it was a highlight of the whole conference.
Sarge is a highlight wherever he goes.
The Secret Service want to know a little more about Sarge now.
Sarge, his lips are sealed. What a competitor. Gary Matthews Sr., of course, the dad of Gary Matthews Jr. He could play some and hit some in his own right. In fact, Dusty has tried to prevail upon him twice to come back and coach, but he said, no, I like this broadcasting stuff. It's better than working.
George, you're
we've known that for years. Dusty preaching to Darnell McDonald after the ground ball to third down on the Reds bench. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Hannigan. Once a hitter, always a hitter, and once a hitting coach, always a hitting coach.
Yeah, and unfortunately not everybody has the same amount of talent.
Hit pretty good. Does he have enough? Giddy up, going to left. It's going back. It is gone. Ryan Hannigan's first homer. He helps his battery mate out, and the Reds lead it 2-0. That is the 12th home run allowed by Moyer this year. That ties teammate Brett Myers for the most homers allowed by a pitcher in the National League.
Well, he got it a bunch, did Ryan Hannigan. He stays right in there and he goes down to get that pitch. A sinking fastball that Hannigan drops the head on, and he can jog from there.
Just got it over that left field wall. His first homer since last August against the Houston Astros, and his first of this year gives the Reds a 2-0 lead. I mean, Chris, he came in hitting .311, and we saw it in spring training. More comfortable at the plate, and no, he hasn't had as many at bats as he had hoped to have, but with Joey Votto out, he's been no slouch at the plate of late.
Well, he's a good receiver. There's no question about that. This is only the second time this year that Ryan Hannigan has caught Aaron Harang. Speaking of Joey Votto, there he is. He wasn't on the bench early on. He's came out there now. Good to see him. Yep. I mean, you know, when he's not there, now you're really worrying.
More tests this week for Joey to try to track down the source of the dizziness. I mean, he's fine walking around. I mean, when you don't know one way or the other what you have, it's the uncertainty. He's just hopeful that they can track something down. And the Reds medical staff trying to continually update and cross-check tests to find out what exactly has caused the dizziness.
He's making good use of his time, though, George. Probably learning Spanish, sitting between Edwin Encarnacion and I think the other guy over there, Johnny Cueto.
Johnny Cueto.
They're giving him some lessons. He's teaching him Canadian. They're teaching him Spanish.
Hey, don't forget, see this Toyota Tundra truck out in the left and the sign in right center field. If you hit it, Annette Presley from Dayton, Ohio, will win it if one of the Reds players hits the sign or the truck tonight.
You hit it, you have to leave a cup of urine behind, especially if you hit that tundra on a fly. We're going to send that baby out the test.
You could use your I don't know about your 1-iron, but you get you still have it in your bag?
No, that's a thing of the past. That went by the way of hickory sticks, hickory shafts.
That's your good luck one. Loop down the right field line, curving, it'll go into the seats. Taveras ended an 0 for 19 string with a base hit in the first inning. Scored on the base hit by Brandon Phillips. Popped up, back is Howard, over is Utley. Utley will take charge, and that'll do it. But Ryan Hannigan delivers his first homer of the year after being down 0-2. He battles back and gives the Reds a 2-0 lead. Lefty passed Walter Johnson to move into second place on the all-time strikeout list. Our Cabot Woodstein legendary performance for Lefty. That was 1983 after he'd already won his 4 Cy Young awards, and right now those 4,136 strikeouts during his career, number 4 on the all-time list. What a career for Steve Carlton. Cy Young Award winner in 72, 77, 80, and 82. He was the reigning Cy Young Award winner in 83 when he passed Walter Johnson. Wound up with 329 wins, second only to Warren Spahn among lefties. Hit pretty good left center field. Will anybody get there? Trying to backhand it is Taveras. It'll hop off the dirt surface and bounce into the seats for a ground rule double. So Chris Coast will get a double to lead off the third inning. One hop into the seats in left center.
Well, it looks like Chris Coast had been paying attention because he was waiting for that slow curveball, figuring he might get it. And boy, he kept his hands back, got his foot down, and hit that ball a long way. A one hopper into the first row.
So here comes Moyer. The Reds expecting a bunt from the Philly pitcher. He squares. Gets it down. Hannigan will take the out at first. And a successful sacrifice for Jamie Moyer. For Moyer, that's his first sacrifice of the season. They spend a relaxing afternoon at the ballpark during the Paycor Business Day game happening tomorrow at 12:35. Drop off your business card at the fan accommodation station. You could win tickets to the next Paycor Business Day game. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to reds.com. 2-4 is your put out. Runner down to third. That'll bring Hairston in tied at third and Ramon Hernandez in tied at first with another good bunter at the plate, Jimmy Rollins. Rollins flat out first time up, an 8-game hitting streak on the line, and the first run of the night down at third for Philadelphia.
Well, that's really able to help yourself if you're Jamie Moyer. He had 12 sacrifices last year. So much easier now for Jimmy Rollins to get that run in and half the Reds lead.
Backing out of play, 1-2.
George, want to send our get well wishes to a slick fielding second baseman, a good friend of Bernie Stowe's, and a guy that we know from Reds baseball heaven for years, Jerry Weiss. Jerry up at Christ Hospital right now recovering. We hope you get better. And hey, we need your glove out there, Jerry, when we get to Goodyear. So we hope you're doing all right.
Jerry Burney sends his best, and we hope to see you back at the ballpark soon. Get well, Jerry. Here's strikeout number 4. Gets him to bite at the pitch up above the strike zone for punch out number 4.
Yeah, he tried that a couple of times in that at bat. Went upstairs continually trying to get Jimmy Rollins to chase, and evidently the scouting report says when you need a strikeout from Jimmy Rollins, and if you have enough mustard, you go right up the ladder.
Rollins can't believe he swung at it. Harang says thank you very much.
Well, when you're scuffling, you hack at those pitches.
Here's Utley flat out first time up, and the infield drops back. That breaking ball drops in there for a strike. In the third base coaching box for the Phillies, former Reds coach and former manager of the Orioles, Sam Perlazzo. As usual over at first, Davey Lopes, one of the best stolen base operatives in the history of the game. 557 stolen bases during his brilliant career. Also on the staff, of course, is Pete Buchanan, the former Reds coach and interim manager. Pete as the bench coach now. There he is. That's a guy who deserves a chance to manage in the major leagues, Chris. He did a bang-up job when he came to Cincinnati and took over for half a season. In front of him is Milt Thompson, the hitting instructor for Charlie Manuel. In the dirt, good block by Hannigan. 2-1. To sneak it in under the hands. Harang misses, and it's 3-1.
George, in the bottom of the inning, I'm going to show you something very special.
Looking forward to it.
Two ladies have been working on this project for a long time, and I'm telling you what, it is something out of sight.
It's the Chris Welsh statue for the front of the ballpark.
Nope, even better than that. Bigger, more robust, and even in more color.
We'll show it to all you at home too.
Coming all the way from Kokomo, Indiana.
That's not the same Kokomo that the Beach Boys sang
sure
about.
Is. As far as I know.
3-2. Bounce it down to second. Good job by Harang. He'll strand the runner at third. Gets Rollins to strike out. Utley to bounce out. The Reds hold on to a 2-0 lead as we head to the bottom of 3. Keyword Reds, then your question at 37664. Stay tuned. You may just get your answer here on Fox Sports Ohio. Great to have you with us, and we want to show you. Boy, you talk about a work of art, Chris. We got one.
George, it takes a long time to quilt one of these. A beautiful Reds blanket, and made for us by a couple of nice ladies from Kokomo, Indiana, Idra Dixon and Judy Bennett. Congratulations. What a great work of art, Idra.
Well, it started a long time ago in 1983 when we were doing other quilts.
And this is going to be donated to the Reds Community Fund. The Reds Community Fund will later this year auction this quilt off, and all the proceeds go to the Community Fund. Right, Judy?
That's right. That's what we had in mind when we first thought this up.
Now, you've got all the Reds autographs on here. Not all of them, but, I mean, in the real looks. I mean, I recognize that Pete Rose autograph, and Dan Dreesen, and Jeff Keppinger, and Joe Morgan. You've got them all, and they look like the authentic autographs.
Yes, they are. We worked with Matthew Wagner from the Reds Community Fund, and I sent him the squares, and he got the autographs.
I think it's pretty good. You got Matt Wagner's autograph here, too. Matt got his name in there, didn't he?
I don't think so.
Well, it's a beautiful piece of art, and we thank you so much for bringing it up here and showing it to us this evening. You better keep a close eye on it. George Grant has a tendency to walk off with some of these from time to time.
Judy, who's your favorite player? Your favorite in Reds history?
Well, Dusty Baker's my favorite player, but in Reds history, I have to say Johnny Bench.
That's great.
Johnny Bench. And Pete Rose.
And Idra, who's your favorite player?
Well, the one that I like the best autograph after Dusty's is Johnny Bench wrote, "Catch you later."
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you very much for bringing it up. And
thanks, girls.
It's a wonderful work. One more good look at that. How about that?
Outstanding. Outstanding. Congratulations.
Right.
Thanks,
Thank
Judy.
you, ladies.
Thanks, Idra. Take care, hon.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye now.
Watch him. Chris may take this from you.
All right.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Jerry Hairston Jr. He sends it to right center field. Long run, 1 hop off the wall. Victorino won't get there, and Hairston will cruise into second base. Jerry Hairston Jr. bangs a 2-base hit, his second extra base hit of the series, and the Reds have the leadoff hitter in scoring position, his 8th 2-bagger of the year.
Well, we've seen Jerry really hit the ball hard when it's up in the zone. That one down around the knees, a little breaking ball that Moyer leaves out over the plate and going the other way. You can see the Reds' game plan tonight. Don't try to pull Moyer, even though he's only throwing the ball in the low 80s. Don't get up there and try to pull that pitch. Use the entire field. Brandon Phillips went the other way. Jerry Hairston goes the other way, and Phillips now with a chance to drive another run in.
Brandon singled to right. That knocked in Taveras from second in the first inning. So Hairston, pretty good lead off second. Brandon at the plate. He steps in now. The average up over 270 at 274.
Ooh, trying to hit that one in New Richmond.
Maybe Kokomo.
Well, you can foul one off the Kokomo, George. I know my geography, but you have to hit one in the left field to get the New Richmond. Way back.
No balls, 1 strike. That's a beautiful quilt, isn't it? Man. Pushes the bunt to the right side. Moyer will get there, and they'll get the out, but that'll get the runner over to third.
How about Jamie Moyer over there fielding the ball, using his glove as a highlight cesta? He just gets that ball. This is a dookie drag right there, and if he gets it by the pitcher, it's a base hit. But Moyer scoops, flips it over to his first baseman. You know, I like that play. I like it a lot, especially off a left-handed pitcher, although Moyer gets off the mound well and does a good job doing it.
He'll get a sacrifice for it, so the putout goes 1-3. That puts a runner at third with 1 out, and here comes Jay Bruce, who struck out in the first inning. The Reds continue to lead the National League in sacrifice bunts, and let's see if this one will pay off. Similar situation that Bruce was on in the first, with 1 out, a runner at second, trying to get the runner to third. He struck out, did not execute the play, and here with the infield back, he gets a ground ball to the right side. He'll get the Reds a run. No balls, 2 strikes. Bruce facing Moyer for the first time tonight. You see the HK on the Philly uniforms. That, of course, to honor the great Harry Callis, who passed away earlier this year. The great Philly Hall of Fame broadcaster. Fly ball to right. Here comes Worth. It'll drop in front of him. Scoring easily will be Harrison. So it doesn't take a great swing, Chris. It just takes enough to get it into the outfield. He'll get a base hit out of it, and the Reds will have another run.
Well, you know, he didn't hit it very hard, George. He hung in there with 2 strikes on him and barely got a piece of that ball. It was just enough, though. A good pitch by Moyer. That ball down and away, about shoe top high outside. I'm a little surprised that Jason Worth didn't leave his feet to make this catch right here. Had he done that, Jerry Harrison was halfway to home. He would have had to go back to third base.
So 3-0 Cincinnati. Down at first is Bruce, and here comes Ramon Hernandez, who walked on a 3-2 pitch in the first. And they've got Bruce picked off. The throw will get there in time, and Bruce is retired at second. 1-3 to 6 is the put out. Actually, his motion looks a little bit like yours when you pitch. You know that?
You know what? I've been noticing that over the years. Of course, I was in my last year when Jamie Moyer was in his first year.
1986.
Only pitched one time. I looked it up today against the Reds. Did Moyer. He faced Ted Power in that contest as a Chicago Cub. He was originally drafted in 1984. Moyer was in the 6th round by the Cubbies.
Dribbled out in front of the plate. Moyer will take care of it. The damage done, though. A leadoff double by Harrison, cashed in by Bruce. Reds lead at 3-0. Home run and 30 stolen base season. Who are the other 3? 30 shortstops. And if you're a Reds fan, you know one of them right off the bat. And every Reds fan can answer that question. The outstanding year that Barry Larkin had with the Reds, an MVP kind of year when he played defense as well as anybody, played offense as well as anybody too. Here's Raul Ibanez. The lead off the 4th will be followed by Howard and Worth. Rare combination of power, speed, and the shortstop position. Aaron Harang. For him, this is kind of uncharted territory. Very seldom does he get a lead like this, just trying to hold it. Johnson down and in, and it's 2-1. On the scoreboard tonight, Milwaukee and Houston are underway. Scoreless. They're in the first inning at Minute Maid Park. Atlanta leads Colorado 1-0 in the fourth. Florida leads Arizona 7-6. They're in the eighth. This one hit pretty good. Center field going back. Taveras looking up. Forget it. That's going to be 10 feet past the fence. And home run number 14 for Raul Ibanez. Smooth, sweet swing, and the Phillies are on the board.
Well, he struck out the first time on a fastball. Ibanez did, and Aaron Harang going back to the well trying to sneak another one by him. But Ibanez, well, he is simply seeing the ball too big right now.
And here's the other big guy right behind him. Ryan Howard with 9 home runs steps in. Howard flat out to right first time up. Phillips playing in short right field, and it's about as deep as we've ever seen Brandon Phillips play a left-handed batter. There's the home run leading totals. Adrian Gonzalez still number 1 with 15. Ibanez now with 14. Pujols, Albert at 13, and Bruce right behind him.
Ryan Howard had 146 runs batted in last year. What a monster year. 48 home runs. He may have 48 home runs again this year, but if Ibanez is hitting in front of him, he may not have a chance to drive in 148. Because Ibanez may just clean up ahead of him. Last 3 years, pretty impressive for this man who was the first Philly to win an arbitration case in a long time, and he won a big one, $15 million.
If I go back one more year to 2006, he's hit more homers than anybody else in baseball. Here's a 3-hopper against the wall. He'll cruise into second with a 2-base hit. So a homer and a double. And just like that, the tying run, the potential tying run, comes to the plate. It's Jason Worth here in the fourth.
Having hit a home run the left center field last night, he just turns on this, and boy, does he just get his foot down quickly, keep his hands back. And when you're as big as strong as Ryan Howard is, 6'4", 255 pounds, he just rips it right down the right field line.
So Howard's in scoring position with his 11th two-bagger of the year, and here comes Worth, who struck out back in the second.
George, I'm wondering if I was even reading this right. That is his 11th double of the year. He only had 26 doubles in all of last year, and he had a monster year at the plate. Don't tell me he's turned into a doubles hitter.
He's turned into a better hitter.
He is that.
You know he has power, but when he starts going to the left and left center the way we've seen of late, and he averaged now up over 270. And you know he has a ton of power. And he's become a very proficient first baseman as well. I mean, you talk about, you go through eras, and right now with the likes of Albert Pujols and Ryan Howard, look at Joey Votto with the Reds, some brilliant first basemen scattered around the National League. Adrian Gonzalez we just saw in San Diego. One ball, 2 strikes to Worth.
You know, he's from St. Louis, Missouri. Howard is, don't you? And it wasn't taken until the 5th round. But the Cardinals wish they could do that all over again.
Grew up as a Cardinal fan. His mom and his dad usually come here when he comes here, but they just made a trip to Philadelphia, so they skipped the trip this time.
Be a horrible problem to have, wouldn't it? How to figure out how to get Howard and Albert Pujols in your lineup at the same time?
Think you could find a way to do that? Well, the Phillies found a way. Jim Tomei was here when they originally had Howard coming through the minor leagues, and because they realized that Howard was ready at the major league level, they made room as Tomei left. And congratulations to Jim Tomei, by the way. He hit home run number 548. That ties the former Philly Mike Schmidt on the all-time home run list.
Hall of Famer?
They'll get a lot of votes. I mean, he's been one of those popular players and never been tainted. That's the good news for Jim Tomei. I mean, you put him, aside from everything else, statistically, you put him in a category of McGwire. Was he a home run hitter? Yes, but did his complete game warrant Hall of Fame status? 548 home runs during this era. He's going to get a lot of votes. Whether he'll get enough will be interesting. There's Victorino, who doubled and was left stranded in the second.
Maybe that would be a good ask the announcer question, huh?
Two balls, no strikes. We just saw that list of strikeouts with Steve Carlton on it, now fourth on the all-time list. The guy right behind him, I think, is somebody, if I had a vote, he'd be in. That's Bert Blyleven. You look at his total body of work. No, he didn't win 300 games, but everything else stamped him very clearly as, uh-oh, this one hit down the line. Curvin. Is there going to be room for Bruce? It will go foul. Bruce was pulled over towards right center. He had a long way to come and almost got there. 3-1. There's that all-time list. Right behind Carlton is Blyleven with over 3,700 strikeouts, Chris. And when you look at the shutouts, the complete games, the numbers, and he just fell shy of 300 victories. In my mind, he was a Hall of Fame caliber pitcher during his career.
No question about it.
Randy Johnson still active, 1 win away from the 300 mark, 2 wins away from the 300 mark, and he probably will get that this year. He's heading to the Hall of Fame, and the Roger Clemens story, of course, still to be unveiled. Pop back and out of play. You know, the other part of the Jim Thome story, 2,190 games in his career, and Daddy Wags just looked up the numbers of those, over 500 games as a designated hitter. And you look at Edgar Martinez, one of the best hitters of his generation. They knock him down a notch because he was just a DH. And I'm sure that's going to certainly affect the kind of votes that Thome will get too. So Victorino will work the walk, and here comes Pedro Feliz. Time for a reminder that when you want sports and you want entertainment, it's the best sports show, period. With host Chris Rhodes and Carissa Thompson, weeknights right here. It's presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. It's the best sports show, period. So now 2 on, still only 1 out, and here's Feliz, who struck out looking in the second. In these kinds of situations in the last 2 years, the one thing that Aaron Harang has really added to his repertoire is the ability to roll a double play ball up. The Reds have 29 of them this year, looking for one here. Gonzalez, 6-4 in the dirt. Yes, in time, and scooped by Ramon Hernandez. Boy, did he bail out Aaron Harang. Great job on the flip by the second baseman Phillips, and a tremendous job by Ramon. Jimmy Rollins and the Phillies have narrowed the gap. It's a 3-1 score as we go to the bottom of inning number 4. Alex Gonzalez will lead it off. Darnell McDonald and Ryan Hannigan. Breaking ball drops in there for a strike. Seems like yesterday in some respects, Chris, but it's hard to believe it was 15 years ago when the Reds in 1995 were heading towards a shot at the postseason, and the Reds were in search of pitching. And the Reds really, I mean, other than David Wells and Pete Shurk during the mid part of the 90s and until he was hurt, Tom Browning, the Reds didn't have very many left-handed starters. And Jamie Moyer's name came up, and there were a lot of people around baseball that said he's washed up. He's finished.
Including the Reds front office.
Yeah, and where is he now at 46 years of age? Still pitching. He reinvented himself. Never as a competitor. He's always been a great competitor. But he's found a way. You're fond of talking about hitting speed and pitching either above it or below it. He's made an art of pitching below it.
Well, his whole art, George, is pitching below it, yes, but it's a matter of deception. You know, what you see with Moyer is not what you get. Early in his career, he was really never a hard thrower. I mean, he used to throw up around 90 miles an hour, but he never lived at 94 or anything like that. He was always about change-ups, working the ball in and out, had good control. And his aim was really to get the hitter to hit his pitch rather than miss his pitch.
Into right field. Worth, long run at the warning track, looking up, reaching up, and he'll haul it in. Gonzalez retired for the first out. Time for our Aflac trivia answer for the night with Darnell McDonald coming to the plate. Our question: Jimmy Rollins, one of 4 shortstops in Major League history to have a 30-30 season, 30 homers and 30 stolen bases. The other 3? Any further guess for you? Barry Larkin, A-Rod, and of course Hanley Ramirez in 2008. Larkin remained a shortstop for his whole career. Alex Rodriguez has moved to third, and the more we talk to people in the Florida organization, the more we believe that probably in the next couple of years he may move to another position. But how about those power numbers last year for Hanley? 33 homers, 35 stolen bases, and for the Reds captain, what a year. 95 was a great year, and 96 statistically an even better year for the guy who was the cream of the crop as a man and as a player, Barry Larkin. Off the end of the bat, left center field. Over comes Ibanez, and he'll haul it in. McDonald retired. 2 away. Well, Darnell's 0 for 2, a ground out and that fly ball out. And here comes Hannigan. Ryan homered with 1 out in the second. That gave the Reds a 2-0 lead. His first homer of the season. You know, in between innings, we were talking about your question about Jim Thome. Is he a Hall of Famer? And really, in this generation, you're going to end up lumping 3 guys together. Jim Thome, Frank Thomas, of course, and Edgar Martinez. 3 guys who are very proficient as designated hitters. All who put up outstanding numbers. Thomas probably of the 3 the most dynamic numbers because he won batting title.
Well, how can the baseball writers, and it is the writers who vote along with the Veterans Committee, but the writers who vote for the initial stage of the Hall of Famers, how can they hold it against designated hitters when it's part of the baseball rules? Those guys didn't ask to be DHs. I mean, they were placed there because they were the best fit for that position. I mean, you really can't hold it against them, so you've got to. I mean, if they earn their way in offensively, you can't, take a couple of notches away from them just because they were DH and didn't play in the field.
But is it just fantasy baseball numbers, or does it matter that you play the field? Does it matter that you play both sides of the ball? And that's what some of the writers will debate.
So what do the old timers think? George, you're up there at Cooperstown every year for a long time.
Most of the old timers don't believe that Hall of Famers belong. I'm talking about the real old timers.
That the DHs belong as Hall of Famers.
Right. That the DHs don't belong in the Hall of Fame.
Or in baseball at all, probably.
Yeah, I think if you and the other side of all this argument is that as we go along, some of those old timers are falling by the wayside. Unfortunately, they're passing away, and those arguments are becoming less and less valid as we look ahead to the next generation, because this generation has grown up with the designated hitter. Right or wrong, it's been part of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, there were years where some Hall of Famers, when the whole Pete Rose debate started, there's a pitch that's high and up above the strike zone, but Hannigan will reach out and slap it into left for a base hit. He's 2 for 2, a homer in this single to left. I mean, there were some Hall of Famers who said, if Pete Rose gets into the Hall of Fame, I'll never come back again. I mean, big names who threatened never to come back to Cooperstown. Now, would they say the same? Some of those have passed away now. Would they say the same about an Alex Rodriguez? Would they say the same about
Barry Bonds, McGuire? Go on down the list.
And in the same respect, there are other Hall of Famers, people who played with Pete, for instance, a Joe Morgan, a Johnny Bench, a Mike Schmidt, who knew the kind of competitor that he was.
Teammates.
Yep. It's a matter of perspective, and it's the same kind of an argument relative to the DH. Here's Harang, who struck out first time up. Dribbled out in front of the plate. Post has it. He'll take care of it. Reds get a hit, strand a runner. There's nothing to show for it. They still have a lead, 3-1, as we head to the 5th. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Great to have you with us. Good job by Matt Sigafus putting together that highlight package on our AT&T Rewind tonight. Great to have you with us here at Great American Ballpark. Aaron Harang staked to a 3-1 lead. Joey Votto out of the lineup again if you joined us late. More tests for the Reds first baseman. Still no conclusive word from the Reds medical staff on his status. And Chris, you just hope that you find answers. That's what you want.
Well, I hope so, George. I mean, they've run so many tests on Joey Votto. He must feel like a middle name is ACT. I mean, he's been in and out of doctor's offices for a week now, and you know, it's one of these things that he'll tell you that it comes and goes. 1 minute he feels great, next minute he feels dizzy, and that's the perplexing thing.
Here's Chris Coase to lead it off as we go to the top of the 5th. A one-hopper smothered by Hairston. How to stay in front, and there's one away. That'll bring up Jamie Moyer with a one out here in the 5th. Hey, this Saturday the Reds take on the Indians, and the first 20,000 fans in attendance will receive a Reds baseball cap. Thanks to Fox Sports Ohio. Get your tickets now at 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Always one of the best giveaways of the summer, our Fox Sports Ohio cap. If you don't get to the ballpark in time for the hat giveaway on Saturday, Jesse Jackson will be at Fountain Square, and he'll have the back of his trunk open on Sunday. Oh, no, he's bringing the truck and not the trunk.
I was going to say, George, the trunk is not big enough. It might be the van and the trailer.
Here's Moyer, successfully sacrificed for his first sacrifice of this year. That was in the 3rd. Got a runner from 2nd to 3rd, but the Phillies, who are the best in the league with runners in scoring position, couldn't get a run in. Rollins struck out, and Utley bounced out to end the inning. The one run on the board is an Ibanez home run, his league leading 14th. That came in the 4th inning. One hopper to Brandon. 2 away. Well, Chris, the inning ended in the 4th inning with just like that, with a ground ball, and that's the one thing Aaron Harang is. We talked about his 200th appearance in San Diego, his return to San Diego, and he first came over from Oakland. He was a 4-seam fastball pitcher that was usually up in the zone, but he's used his 2-seamer to be very effective the last couple of years.
George, he has, but tonight he seems to be incorporating both. The 4-seamer, he's gotten a strikeout out of Jimmy Rollins one time on that. He struck out a couple of other batters on that pitch. But that sinking fastball, the 2-seamer, has really been very good for him, and he's used it more this year than ever before. The other observation I'll make is that he's got 2 different types of breaking balls. One's a slider and one's a curveball. Tonight it seems like the curveball is his pitch of choice. Nice drop on it. There it is again.
Rollins trying to stretch an 8-game hitting streak. So far tonight he's 0 for 2, a fly ball to left, and that strikeout in the 3rd inning.
And really, to tell the difference between the curveball and the slider is easy if you use the help of the radar gun. The slider usually in the low 80s and the curveball somewhere in the 70s.
Game has always been and will always be a game of adjustments. As a hitter, you make adjustments, and as a pitcher, you've got to reinvent yourself. Jamie Moyer's done it so successfully to still be pitching at the age of 46, and we've seen really 3 methods of metamorphosing for Aaron Harang during his career. I mean, Moyer has never been a hard thrower, but he's much like Tom Glavine. He's learned to pitch inside when he had to. He's stayed away when he had to, and he's still winning at the major league level. Popped up behind 2nd. Alex Gonzalez there. He'll squeeze it. A 1-2-3 for Aaron Harang. His second 1-2-3 inning of the night. He leads at 3-1. Hey, Reds fans, you have a baseball question that you want to know the answer to? Well, come on down to Game Day Cafe Friday at 6 for your chance to be part of Reds Live and get your question answered on the air. Join the fun at Game Day Cafe Friday at 6. Here's Moyer dealing to the top of the order. Willie Taveras, who singled to center in the first and scored on a base hit by Phillips, and popped out to second base in the second inning. Willie and Brandon have led the Reds this year. Taveras had a 14-game hitting streak, snapped on the road trip, and then he went into a big-time funk, 0 for 19 until he singled in the first. Brandon Phillips had a 13-game streak. This one blooped into center, long run Victorino. Nobody's going to get there. Taveras will be on with a base hit. So 2 bloops for Taveras. He'll take them for base hits. And the Reds have the leadoff hitter on in the 5th. Our Ask the Announcers question: would you please explain a balk? I've been watching the Reds for 20 years, still don't understand it. That's Rick from Hamilton, Ohio, and you can join us. And here is the balk that was charged to Jamie Moyer, and there it is with the runner on second. You cannot throw to an unoccupied base or fake throwing, and you can see here if he continued to turn towards second, it would not have been a balk. But Chris, he actually touches the ground and moves towards first. Yeah, he's actually stepping towards first base right there, George, and you can't, you know, fake a throw or step to an unoccupied base and then throw to a different base. There are a lot of different balk rules that apply to this particular move that he makes. One is that he still has his foot in contact with the rubber. He fakes, he steps to one base and throws to another, and that's probably the one that applies the most. Might be 805C, 805D, 805E if you want to look them up in the book. And you know, Rick, in Hamilton, I'm not sure I understand all the balk calls either, and I've been called for a whole bunch of them. It seems like it's under, especially amateur baseball, the balk rule has got so many different interpretations and so much misunderstanding among umpires of what a balk is and what isn't a balk. The bottom line is, if you step to the base that you're throwing to, it's not a balk. If you do something other than step to the base that you're throwing to and throw to that base, it is a balk. That's why you're on the rubber. No, if you step off the rubber, you could throw anywhere. Oh, you become an infielder then. Right, and in that case, you could see he was in his windup. And probably, Chris, you've been there as a left-hander. His goal would have been to keep wielding around and throw to second, but his balance just wasn't there. Well, you know, the other thing, George, is that when right-handers step and fake the third, you can fake the third and you can fake the second without throwing. You're just not allowed to fake to first. And that may have been one of the interpretations that the second base umpire Sam Holbrook took when it came to calling a balk on Moyer. Well, for a guy that, I mean, you had a lengthy career. You had only 2 balks in your career. Explain Jamie Moyer's balance point, his philosophy. And again, as I look at him, I see your move. I remember your move as you balanced on the mound and we're ready to go to first. Well, the first thing you're not allowed to do is you're not allowed to take this leg and cross the left leg with it when you lift it up. You've got to make sure that that plane is not crossed between the rubber and first base. And he goes right up that lane, right up that imaginary line between the pitcher's rubber and first base. If he crosses with his right foot, if this right foot goes this way and crosses this line right here, then that's going to be a balk. And he doesn't do it. He is right on that line and right within the rules. Only 13 more throws to first, George, and he might have me tied. A night to be remembered. There goes Taveras. They got him picked. He still may beat it, but he won't. He's out. He believes he got in. The argument will ensue, but the only decision is Sam Holbrook's decision at second. I'd like to see that one again because that looked like he was in there. The umpire really should never make up his mind before that play is made because it's not an easy play. A little bobble by the first baseman. That's a sweep tag by Jimmy Rollins. Is he in there? Oh, he's safe. His foot is in there. He's safe. So for only the second time this year, they catch Taveras, and here's a bloop into right. It will drop for a hit, and there's a potential another run for the Reds. You know, the other thing you can't do that it will be called a balk, George, is when you're in the middle of your stretch position, you drop the ball. If it happens to fall out of your hand, it is a balk, and that was one of my 2 balks was one of those.
He must have grabbed the wet spot or something on that ball.
Vaseline is a tricky substance, isn't it? Well, one out, runner at first, and here comes Brandon, who singled his first time up, knocked in the Reds' first run, and then sacrificed successfully in the third. Best left-handed pitching moves that you ever saw? Who did they belong to? The best left-handed pickoff moves.
Well, the best pickoff moves I saw was a guy in amateur baseball named Mark Miggins. In fact, Mark Miggins was a college teammate of mine. Eventually, he was hired by the Reds for a spring training to come up and teach the left-handers a move. Gary Lavelle, remember the old left-hander from San Francisco? He had a great pickoff move. Gary Lucas, Daniel Boone, who reminds me a lot of Daniel Herrera, had a great pickoff move.
Bobby McClure.
Bobby McClure had a tremendous move, and you know you have a really good pickoff move as a left-hander when you pick off guys that aren't even stealing. It's one thing to pick a guy off like Moyer did Taveras. Taveras is running, and that's really not called a pickoff. That's a pitcher caught stealing. But when you pick a guy off and he's not going anywhere, you know you've got a good move.
Hairston off first, Phillips at the plate. Big swing and a pop up to the right side. Back is Howard. Utley will take charge, and there's your second out of the inning.
Now that's really what Jamie Moyer wants you to do. He wants you to get in the batter's box, rear back, and swing as absolutely hard as you can at his offerings up there. And when you do, chances are you're going to miss-hit it. I mean, that's a, like unlimited flight softball swing right there.
Here's Jay Bruce, struck out and singled in the Reds' third run. That was in the third inning. Our Firestone leaderboard for tonight as you watch Jamie Moyer, the active wins leaders. Tommy Glavine passed 300 as a Met. Randy Johnson within 2 of the 300 mark. And Moyer's next, 51 away from the 300 figure. That's a shot, but foul. Now, we talked about this last night. The guys on the Reds roster who weren't around, Chris, when Jamie Moyer made his debut June the 16th of 1986. Where was Jay Bruce? A twinkle in the eye. April 3rd of 1987. Same thing for Johnny Cueto. In 86, he was born in 86. June 16th, 1986.
So Moyer's really giving you a lesson on how to handle a young hitter with great bat speed, tremendous strength, and you don't really have the kind of pitches that can get him out. And he still pitches him inside. Just right in off the plate, and there's not a whole lot Jay Bruce can do to it.
Look out. I mean, 249 wins, impressive, and for him last year culminated a year that was so special for a guy that was born in Pennsylvania, went to St. Joe's to win a World Series as a Philly. I mean, the look on his face told you all you needed to know, how important it was, how emotional it was. But I mean, that's only part of the story of Jamie Moyer. All those years, all those wins. But even more important, he and his wife Karen have been so dynamic in every community they've been in. He's won the Roberto Clemente Award, the Fred Hutchinson Award for off the field efforts. Just been a solid baseball citizen and a solid leader every place he's been. One ball, 2 strikes to Bruce. last year when we went to Florida, Ken Griffey Jr. finally got his 600th career homer. We stopped in Philadelphia right before we went to Florida, and we talked to Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard, and also to Jamie Moyer about Ken Griffey. And it was funny because all these other guys were saying, boy, it's been great to watch Ken Griffey Jr. and what a great player he's been. And in Moyer's case, he said it's nice to watch the kid finally get to 600 because he was a kid when he came up. And here it is 20 some odd years later. Moyer's still the elder statesman. Different perspective, that's for sure, for Jamie Moyer than any other player.
I'm seeing left-handed hit foul balls here that we have never seen before.
He keeps drilling them down and in, down and in.
And slow enough that Bruce really can't do anything except hit him foul.
Same spot. Funny, before the game tonight, talking to Charlie Manuel, he was remarking about Jay Bruce and how impressed he was with the young hitter and his hands. And last night, the home run that Bruce did hit, it was a 3-2 pitch after he was down 0-2, and it was a pitch, a changeup that Hamels got away to him. And you could see that Moyer went to school on that. He's staying in. He's not going out there at all. Back there again. And Bruce's hands are so strong. He can take that pitch away and hook it, or he can drill it the other way.
Well, he took one away last night, a changeup from Cole Hamels after 5 consecutive fastballs, and he got way out in front of that one and hooked it for a home run.
Here's pitch number 11 of this at bat. Are they staying in the same spot? Coast outside this time. And Bruce finally gets him. He finally got him to go away, and he delivers into the corner. They're going to send the runner from third. Here comes Harrison. Here comes the throw to the plate. It will be in time, and he is out. Harrison nailed at the plate. The Reds still lead at 3-1. We'll show it to you again when we return.
Fox Sports Ohio Champions Club is beautifully, gorgeously designed, and it is all-inclusive. You pay one fee, you get all you can eat and drink up here. And I came in to check things out, and I found a birthday girl up here. There she is, folks. Come on up here, Susan. She's really reluctant to be on TV. However, I brought Gapper. Gapper just wished her a happy birthday. And you were at the ballpark this week from Paducah, Kentucky, and all of your friends wanted to wish you a happy birthday.
These are not my friends.
Of course they are. From Paducah, Kentucky, so you love your Louisville Cardinals. I know that, and your Cincinnati Reds.
and the Cincinnati Reds too. But Louisville Cardinals are number one.
I got you. And you love this area. This is a good area here. They've got monitors, and again, all-inclusive, all-you-can-eat, the Fox Sports Ohio Champions Club. Check it out, folks. It's a new part of the ballpark, part of the Reds dressing up this ballpark further, and it's good stuff. We're 29 and holding, correct?
That is correct.
We'll be honest, though. Actually, it's the big 5-0, correct?
Incorrect.
29 and holding. There we go. Back to you, George. Yes, sir.
Sing happy birthday to her. Win her over, JD.
We'll get the... Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Susan. And here's Gapper to wish her a happy birthday. Life is good in Reds land, boys. Nice catch out there.
All right, JD. All I know is you had Stephanie here last night, and you brought her out with the dogs. You could have brought her over there and given her something to eat last night.
Well, she was dog sitting, you know.
Good job, JD.
All right, boys.
Utley lines out to left, one away. Here's Raul Ibanez, who struck out and then hit his league-leading 14th homer in the fourth. That's the one run that the Phillies have on the board.
Nothing like live TV.
Yeah. It's taken me a long time, but Joanne finally taught me you just don't ask a woman how old they are on their birthday, do you?
Ever.
Ever. We learn finally, right? No balls and 2 strikes. While the Reds have been scraping for runs, a run in the first, a run in the second, a run in the third, and they ran out of a run in the 5th inning, Aaron Harang's been mowing them down. Only Ibanez's swing is the only dent in his armor, that homer in the 4th inning in a 3-1 game. Boy, he can make 88 look like a 98, doesn't he?
Well, that's the deception part of Aaron Harang. And if you talk to hitters around the league, they just will tell you the same thing. They just don't really pick the ball up all that much. And it looks like Aaron Harang's going against his own scouting report here in this ball game. Earlier in the year, George, we saw him throw so many two-seam sinking fastballs down around the knees, getting more ground balls, having some easy innings, and maybe the Phillies were looking for that. But Ibanez has not seen that high four-seamer very often. He's getting a good taste of it tonight.
2 away, and here's Howard. Flied to right back in the 2nd, and then clubbed his 11th double into the right field corner in the 4th. Moyer's 46 now, but let's go back at the age of 31 with Jamie Moyer. At 31, he had won 189. Aaron Harang, 196 games all told. Moyer 51 and 70, and Harang 2 games over 500, 72 and 70 at the same juncture of their careers.
Well, the big difference there, strikeouts nearly twice as many if you're going to look at that way. And, of course, the wins and losses. Aaron Harang a couple of games over, and well under 500 is Jamie Moyer.
If Harang can put together the same kind of second half to his career, he'll end up with Hall of Fame numbers. I mean, you look at Moyer throughout his career, his years that started with the Chicago Cubs and then little by little found its way to the American League and then back to the National League. For Jamie, he came up with the Cubs back in '86, and some of his best baseball he saved for the late '90s into this decade. I mean, he's had the last dozen years, he's been right around, averaging right around 200 innings per season. He had 196 last year and 199 the year before. The year before that, over 200. That was the end of a string of 7 straight years of 200 or more innings pitched. That's durability.
Well, Aaron Harang trying to do the same thing to Ryan Howard that Jamie Moyer tried on Jay Bruce. Pound him inside, soft stuff in, so you keep a big strong hitter like Howard from getting his arms extended and a sweet part of the bat on it.
1-2.
You know, there's a stat service out there, George. We use it all the time, Stats LLC, and they do a wonderful job. They calculate not only the number of innings and games that you pitch in, but the number of pitches. And it's not complete for Moyer because they don't go back as far as 1986, but they estimate somewhere around 56,000 pitches that he has thrown in his major league career. That's a whole bunch of them.
So, as your old pitching coach Robin Roberts once said, it probably is true that it'll rust off before it wears off.
Absolutely.
If you got good mechanics.
And you stay within yourself as far as your effort level. The guys that hurt themselves seem to be the ones that are given in 100% and grunting and groaning on every pitch they throw.
Full count, 3-2. Closing in on pitch number 92 for Harang with 2 outs here in the 6th. By the way, if you joined us late on the pitching rotation, as we told you yesterday, Michael Owings will go tomorrow against Joe Blanton in the afternoon game. And then Friday and Saturday, the Reds announced today that it'll be Bronson Arroyo going Friday against Anthony Reyes as the Indians come to town. Then Saturday, Edinson Volquez will get an extra day off. He'll go against David Huff. Sunday, it'll be Johnny Cueto against Cliff Lee as the Indians come to town. And Harang wants the call, doesn't get it. That's a walk.
Ball just a hair inside. Interesting positioning right there by Adrian Johnson, the home plate umpire. Normally that umpire is what we've seen this year and in years past, George, sits right over the right shoulder of the catcher with a left-handed hitter up there. It looked like Johnson was right over the top of the catcher. And having Hannigan as low as he gets enables an umpire to do that.
It's a 2-out runner on, and here's Worth, who struck out
American
twice.
League approach when they used to have to look over the pillow.
The old debate: do you take the inside shoulder of the catcher, or are you right up on top of the catcher? Worth has not seen the ball at all against Harang tonight. Struck out one swinging, the other time looking. Here goes Howard, and it is strike 3. That is strikeout number 7 of the night, number 54 of the season. Worth strikes out for the 3rd time. Reds still lead at 3-1. boy, did he get it. Brandon Phillips leaping to make the turn at second. Then at the other end of it, a great scoop by Ramon Hernandez. That's an inning-ending double play for the Reds. It got Harang out of trouble in the 4th inning. For the Reds, double play number 30 on the season. And Harang has allowed the Phillies only 4 hits and 1 run. He leads it 3-1 as we head to the 6th inning. Your Coors Light Freeze Can brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. Ramon Hernandez, Alex Gonzalez, Darnell McDonald due up as we head to the bottom of 6. Ramon walked in the 1st, bounced back to the pitcher in the 3rd. Sometimes those innings aren't always spectacular, but on a team that scores some runs will keep you in ball games. How many times have you seen him, Chris, give up 3 or 4 in the 1st inning, and here he is still hanging around in the 7th, and he's in a 5-4 game or a 4-3 game?
Happens quite often, and he's a guy that adjusts on the spot.
Talk about little things. Moyer delivered that pitch. It's a bloop into center field. Where was he? By the time the ball was caught and the second baseman and the shortstop were in center field, he was standing on the second base bag. Simple thing, but it's a baseball play.
Yeah, you know what? It's not likely that Ramon Hernandez is going to end up going for 2 on that, but you never know. He doesn't want it left unoccupied just in case. He's been around long enough to know that you don't leave that kind of thing to chance.
1 away, Hernandez retired, and here's Alex. Gonzalez flied to center and flied to right, 0 for 2.
You know, if you judge by quality starts, going 6 innings is one thing, but in the 7 starts that he's had so far this year, he only has 1 quality start. Moyer does, and that's one reason why. And it has people in Philadelphia speculating, you know, how long will the Phillies go? They've already made 1 change in their rotation by taking Chan-Ho Park out of the rotation and putting Happ in the rotation. But you sleep better when you have the kind of lineup that he runs out there on a nightly basis.
That's amazing. In spite of how their pitching has struggled, their starting pitching especially, they're last in the league with an ERA of 6.3. Their offense has kept them in it. In fact, they're in first place. Ryan Howard is there. He gloves it for the 2nd out of the inning. Alex Gonzalez is retired, 2 away, and here comes Darnell McDonald. He's over the 100 pitch count now with 2 outs here in the 6th.
Hey, Reds fans, for a great tasting quality meal for your family, pick up a bag of JTM beef or chicken Philly cheesesteaks from your favorite grocer. JTM, food, family, fun.
Here's Darnell. He bounced that, flied out, 0 for 2.
He could use a little bump of his own right here. Darnell could. 0 for 4 last night. You got to figure that, you know, he's pressing a little bit. He's going to get a chance to play this week because the Reds are seeing so many left-handers. They'll see 2 in the Philly series and 2 in the Indian series. And he being the right-handed part of that platoon out in left field dictates the fact that he's going to get some time. But, you know, the more you play and the more you don't hit, the more you press. It's only a natural thing to do when you're a young player, at least young in terms of major league experience.
2 balls, 2 strikes to McDonald. In the air to right, almost in his tracks is Worth. He'll glove it. 3 balls in the air, 2 pop-ups and a fly ball out. Moyer hanging in there. The Reds lead at 3-1. Cincinnati with Moyer on the mound. Home run number 1 on the year for Ryan Hannigan in the second made it 2-0. The Reds had the lead. Then in the third, after a double by Jerry Hairston Jr., Jay Bruce, 11 pitch at bat, finally gets a base hit, and it's 3-0. Raul Ibanez bangs his league leading 14th homer in the fourth, and that put the Phillies on the board. That's where we are right now. The Reds lead it 3-1. For Aaron Harang, he's allowed 4 hits and a run. Jamie Moyer's allowed 9 hits and 3 runs. The Reds lead at 3-1. Back to work goes Harang, Victorino, Feliz, and Coase 6, 7, and 8 as we head to the 7th inning. Victorino tonight double to left, his 8th double of the year. Then he walked in the 4th. The only Philly run came in the 4th, a leadoff homer by Ibanez, and then a no-out double by Ryan Howard. Howard wound up at second, but then with a runner in scoring position, Worth struck out. Victorino walked, and then Pedro Feliz bounced into the double play we just showed you, the 6-4-3 inning-ending double play that helped Harang out of trouble. Other than Victorino's double in the second inning, that's the only time the Phillies have threatened. They had a leadoff double from Coast in the third. He was sacrificed to third and was left stranded there. Ramon has it. Hernandez will tap the bag, and there's one away. And don't forget, you can start your weekend at Great American Ballpark with Fireworks Fridays. Enjoy a spectacular post-game fireworks display this Friday after the Reds-Indians games, presented by Jeff Weiler. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. Whatever Jeff Weiler does, he does it big time, and the Reds fireworks display is an example of it. We go all over the country, and there are fireworks everywhere, but none of the regular fireworks displays compared to what we have here in Cincinnati. It is spectacular.
Oh, they're legit. There's no question about that. You know, as many as we've seen, George, you know, we normally walk away. I stop and watch these. It's pretty cool.
I mean,
and bring your family down here and watch those fireworks after the game. Kids love it. I mean, it's a fun time. Weather ought to be nice. Just finishing up a good whipping on the Indians.
The Indians will come to town this weekend. The Ohio Cup battle again, 3 games. gets the win. Now in the 4th inning, Cardinals and Cubs are scoreless. In the 5th inning, Atlanta leads Colorado 10-1. In the 4th, the Astros lead Milwaukee 4-1. Mets are at Los Angeles to play the Dodgers. San Francisco's at San Diego tonight. And Pittsburgh and Washington are tied 1-1. They're now in the 7th. We're down to the 8th spot in the order. And we won't get to the 9th spot with Durbin up and loosening. Chris Coast taken care of. Aaron Harang gets strikeout number 9 on the night. Harang's leading it 3-1 as we head to the bottom of 7. Ohio Lottery tickets still available for this series by calling 513-381-REDS or go to reds.com. Should be a great weather weekend, a great baseball weekend too. Night games Friday and Saturday and a day game on Sunday. Aaron Harang doing his best lobbying to stay in the game, and I think he's guessing right. I think what Dusty's telling him, if Hannigan should get on, he'll stay in there and bun him over. If not, I think his night may be done, Chris.
Well, he got some high fives in the dugout, George. He is in the on-deck circle. And the Reds have some workers going up in the bullpen down there. So it has been a good night for Aaron Harang through 7 innings, giving up only 4 hits and a run.
Jamie Moyer's night is done. 6 innings, 9 hits, 3 runs, 2 strikeouts, a walk, 105 pitches. Here's Chad Durbin, who comes in the 7th inning to face Ryan Hannigan. Here are the numbers on Durbin.
31-year-old right-hander. The Phillies signed him last year before the season as a free agent. He had pitched previously in Cleveland, Detroit, Kansas City. And he had his career high number of appearances last year, 71. Had a great first half of the year, then really ran out of gas towards the end, even though the Phillies streaked to the finish. Very tough on right-handers.
Just missing wide, 2 balls and a strike. Hannigan's had a whale of a night. A homer to make it 2-0 in the 2nd, his first homer of the season, and a base hit in the 4th, 2 for 2. Started the night at 311, now up to 340. And it's 3-1. American League scoreboard. Kansas City is leading the Indians 5-0. They're in the 4th at Kansas City. Oakland 7, Tampa Bay 3 in the 7th. Also in the 7th, Detroit leads Texas 5-2. This one, Bloop behind second, but right there is Utley, and there's 1 away. Well, that'll be it. Harang will not be called upon to sacrifice as Hannigan does not get on. So Aaron's night is done, and he'll get some high fives and an applause behind the Reds dugout too. Number 39 did his work tonight, Chris.
Yes, he did, George. Exactly what the Reds needed out of him tonight after losing a ball game last night to extend the losing streak to 4. They needed their ace to step up, and you know what? When they're going to win ball games, they're going to do with their pitching. And he is obviously a huge part of that. He's done a great job this evening.
Seven innings, 4 hits, a run. It was earned, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. Aaron Harang exits with a 3-1 lead at the least. See if the Reds can play add-on. Here's Dickerson to pinch hit for Harang. 109 pitches on the night for Aaron Harang, and talk about strike efficiency. 109 pitches, 72 strikes, Chris.
Going right after him.
Dickerson drills this into center field. That's a base hit. So a 1-out base hit for Dickerson. A pinch hit for Chris. He's on. And back to the top of the order, Willie Taveras.
A little chuck and duck right here for Chad Durbin. The ball coming right back up the middle after it floats right back over the center of the plate. Good swing by Chris Dickerson.
The Dickerson's on. Here's Taveras, who singled, scored on a base hit by Phillips in the first, popped out, singled in the 5th, and was tossed out after Moyer threw behind him, and he was nailed at second. Dickerson has good speed at first. A big right-hander to the stretch. A little bigger lead for Dickerson. Just did get his foot back. Up a little high.
Well, good news, George, coming out of the story we talked about a little bit last night. Cole Schlesinger, the 14-year-old pitcher that was hit in the head with a line drive, is still in Children's Hospital, of course. And but the email that I received tonight indicates that he's making a little bit of progress. There is a lot of hope and a lot of prayers going out for him. And that he is making some small steps towards recovery. So our prayers continue. Our well wishes and thoughts go out to the Schlesinger family and the entire Styx organization up there in Cincinnati. Tragic thing happened to him, but hopefully he'll be okay.
Best wishes for continued recovery, and our thoughts and prayers stay with you, big guy. First stolen base for Dickerson, so he's in scoring position. Double play possibility erased. Here's Taveras with a runner now at second. Willie in that 5th inning singled to center, and he argued that he was safe at second. The replay seemed to show that he was, but it, for the Reds, turned into the second 1-3-6 caught stealing of the night. And Mark Wagner going back through the record books, telling us it was the first time that's happened twice or more in a game for the Reds since 1995 against the Braves, June of '95. Very seldom you see that happen once, and hardly ever you see it happen twice in the same night.
Without looking it up, Danny West could probably tell us this, but that had to be Tommy Glavine.
They would think so.
I mean, you know, or maybe Steve Avery.
Was Avery, it would be Avery or Glavine, one of the two lefties.
Yeah.
In '95, they both were with the Braves. So a walk to Tavares, 2 on, and here's Jerry Hairston Jr. Jerry bounced out to third in the first. He doubled to lead off the third and scored on the base hit by Bruce. And then in the fifth, he singled and was out trying to score in a double by Bruce. And in fact, let's take a look at that. Jay at the plate bangs one into the right field corner. Hairston off and running from first base. Worth does a good job of tracking it down, taking it 2 hops off the wall. Hits the cutoff man, Utley. Utley's throw to the plate, and they got Phillips dead to rights at the plate.
Well, you know, that's a pretty good defensive play by the Phillies. And I can realize why Mark Berry's going to send a runner right there. People are probably going to get on and say, how can you have a guy thrown out by so much that he doesn't even slide at the plate? But I think that he got to the ball quicker than anybody anticipated. And it just goes to show you that an arm in right field oftentimes overrated, because you know what happened is that Chase Utley went way out there for that relay throw, and it was Utley's throw that made that whole play happen, and he made a dandy of a throw to home.
Utley, one of the best in the business at going out, taking a cutoff throw and making a perfect throw. And it took really 2 perfect throws, and that's exactly what the Phillies got out of it. And over the years, the Reds have had brilliant second basemen that have been able to do that. Right now, it's Brandon Phillips. They've had Pokey Reese and Brett Boone, Ronnie Oster. I mean, guys who could make that play and do it night after night. 2-1. The bat flips out of his hand, goes all the way to the backstop. It's 2-2. Another look at the relay throw from Worth to Utley, who's in perfect position, got his body moving the right way, and throws a strike to the plate. Now, sometimes strength of arm is overrated among outfielders. If you hit the cutoff man.
Yeah, really. I mean, it's nice to have a guy like Jay Bruce who can throw and hold runners a second and, you know, throw them out of third and so on. But really, in reality, outfielders really only have to throw the ball about 120 feet. Just throw it, get rid of it quick, throw it accurately.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Hairston. And this battle won by Durbin.
Boy, nasty sinker there. Jerry likes the ball up. Boy, that ball had some sinkage on it. Look at the movement right there. Yeah.
Second out of the inning, and here comes Brandon. Phillips singled in the Reds' first run, sacrificed in the third, then popped out in the fifth. Drilled. Does it have enough? Heading to the wall. It's going to be off the wall. It caroms away from the center fielder. 2 runs will score. Here's Phillips around second, heading to third. He'll get his second triple of the week. He plates 2, and the Reds have taken a 5-1 lead.
That's what the Reds needed to kind of give the pitchers a little breathing room right there. You never know which way that ball is going to carom off that wall. Look at where the left fielder, Raul Ibanez, is. You talk about a heads up and being there. And Brandon Phillips, is he at Great American Ballpark or Rumpke Park? He is letting it rip up there tonight, but he'll go all the way to third. He had a triple last night, if I'm not mistaken. Down the right field line. This time he goes to left center and gets a triple.
Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Durbin's out. Bullpen in for Charlie Manuel. Reds lead at 5-1. The standings update. The Reds, after their 4-game losing streak, starting play tonight, 4.5 games back of Milwaukee. Cubs 3 back, Cardinals 3 back, Reds 4.5 back in the Central Division. Your Honda standings update. And here's your pitching update. Bullpen back to work for Charlie Manuel.
New pitcher, left-hander. And I mean a new pitcher, and the word really new. Sergio Escalona, left-hander, comes into the ball game. He's only been in 1 game, got called up a couple of days ago. And in his first appearance, he picked up his first major league win.
Escalona to face Bruce. That's foul to the left side and out of play. Jay tonight struck out, singled to right in the 3rd inning, and then doubled to right in the 5th inning. All of those at bats against Moyer. There are the numbers for Escalona.
Down in Reading.
One of the reasons why the Phillies won last year, Chris, was a bullpen that overachieved from top to bottom, and they were brilliant at the tail end of it. Brad Lidge was perfect for the season in saves, and that not only got them through the National League East, but got them through the playoffs and the World Series too. Swing and a miss. Bruce retired. And so are the Reds, but not before Brandon Phillips dials up his 2nd triple of the week. The Reds lead it 5-1.
By your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers.
Back at Great American Ballpark, Jay Bruce and his fans have done their part on this night as the Reds have taken a 5-1 lead. Now it's going to be up to the bullpen to close it out for Aaron Harang. Harang goes 7 innings, allows only 4 hits, a run, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, 109 pitches. He'll give way to one of the 2 39-year-old young at heart relievers. It'll be Arthur Rhodes, Chris.
Oh, you had to figure coming into this series that Arthur Rhodes might be the busiest man at Great American Ballpark. With all the left-handers that are featured up and down this Phillies lineup, Rhodes, the #1 lefty out of the bullpen for Dusty Baker, figured he was going to get some work, and he has. 2nd night in a row, 18 games overall for Arthur.
Here's Eric Bruntlett, who will pinch hit in the pitcher spot. The Phillies have Bruntlett and Ruiz, their regular catcher, who's on the bench at the start of play tonight. Of course, they got 2 of the best left-handed pinch hitters in the game, Greg Dobbs and Matt Stairs. Rhodes, a lefty, facing the right-handed swinging Bruntlett. Eric in at 138. Bruntlett and Willie Taveras came up together in the major leagues in Houston. They reacquainted themselves with each other prior to the game yesterday. Bruntlett, good solid utility player. He and Taveras, part-time players in Houston, and now both making their living in other cities. as a pinch hitter. His 14th at bat. He has 3 hits as a pinch hitter thus far this year. Well, the word we get from Rob Butcher tonight from the Reds Public Relations Department and from the medical staff, Dr. Timothy Kremchek and Mark Mann, is that all the tests on Joey Votto have now been completed. All the results of those tests are expected tomorrow. And they'll have an update sometime tomorrow on what they've found out about Joey's dizzy spells. So hopefully we'll have a more definitive action, hopefully for us, but even more importantly, hopefully for Joey. Two balls, 2 strikes to Brundtland. One of the happiest guys in the ballpark last night in the 8th inning was the premier pinch hitter for the Phillies, Matt Stairs. Stairs, when the 8th inning came around and Stairs was on the bench, they had Stairs and Dobbs, the 2 left-handed pinch hitters. Arthur Rhodes started the 8th inning with Utley, Ibanez, and Howard, 3 left-handers back to back to back scheduled. So once they got through the 8th and Rhodes left the game, Stairs figured, I got a chance, because talking to Matt Stairs before the game today, in the book he's 1 for 14 against Rhodes. He said that one came last year, and he figures they've been facing each other since 1988 when they were in the minor leagues, and that's the first hit he ever got off Arthur Rhodes. He figures he was 1 for about 40 against him. Here's a fly ball to right. Bruce is there, and there's 1 away. Sunday, NASCAR on Fox heads to Charlotte, North Carolina, where Casey Kane will try to defend his title against the full field of the world's best drivers. Coverage of the Coca-Cola 600 from Charlotte begins Sunday at 5 and high definition on Fox.
Well, George, I was so confident about this ball game, and so were you, and so is our producer Christian Roberts. So we went ahead and had our Philly cheesesteak before the game began. And we thank Julie Rose of Penn Station for that. They were absolutely delicious.
Oh, wait a minute. It's not just the food. It's just we are undefeated when Penn Station delivers, too.
Yeah,
so if we wrap this one up tonight.
I think you're on to something.
So it's good luck. Good food, good luck.
It was good. Jesse Jackson, thanks for heading upstairs to get it.
Jesse goes by the 2 for me, 1 for you. 2 Penn Station for me, 1 for you.
I don't know how they're going to be tomorrow when he takes them over to the Fountain Square.
Bouncer down to third, charging Hairston, flipping across, and Rollins is retired. So unless the Phillies rally, Jimmy Rollins 0 for 4 thus far, an 8-game hitting streak on the line. As Hairston makes a nice play and there's 2 away. Here's Utley. Last night, Chase had a run-scoring single, a 1 for 4 night. Tonight, 0 for 3. Strike to the second baseman for the Phils. Day game tomorrow. Then the Indians come to town Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Hope you join us for the big Ohio Cup Series. This one hit in the air to right in his tracks is Bruce. He'll haul it in, a 1-2-3 in the 8th for Arthur Rhodes. The Reds clinging to a 5-1 lead. Ramon Hernandez will lead it off as we head to the bottom of 8. Yes, sirree, 3. An inning-ending double play for the Reds. That came in the 4th inning. The only inning that the Phillies scored on, and it was great at all 3 positions, Chris.
I'll tell you what, George, that was a nice turn. You have to be some kind of an athlete to be able to turn a double play the way Brandon Phillips did that one right there. A little unconventional, but he got up out of the way of the sliding runner and this completed with his arm strength. Outstanding.
Here's Jack Tashner, who'll take over as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It'll be Ramon Hernandez, Alex Gonzalez, and Darnell McDonald, and scheduled up. And speaking of a guy who completed that, Ramon Hernandez scoop at the other end of it was outstanding. Ramon tonight walked, bounced to the pitcher, and popped to the shortstop. This bullpen has Scott Air, Escalona, who you saw last inning, and Tashner, the 3 left-handers. Durbin, you've seen. Madsen, Clay Condre, Jan Ho Park, who's been bumped from the rotation, of course, and now is in the bullpen, and the closer Brad Lidge. That's Charlie Manuel's bullpen. Touched up Tashner last year. Pitched an inning and 2/3 and gave up 7 earned runs in 3 games last season against Cincinnati. Down low, and it's 2-2. In the 8th, the Yankees lead Baltimore 10-3. The Red Sox lead Toronto 8-2 in the 8th inning, and the White Sox lead the Twins 3-2 in the 4th. In the 9th now, Detroit leads Texas 5-3. In the 8th, Oakland leads Tampa Bay 7-5, and Kansas City leads the Indians 4-2. They're now in the 5th inning at Kansas City. Anaheim at Seattle later on. And the air to left, going back to Banez. He'll have room at the warning track. He'll haul it in for the first out of the 8th. Let's see. Daddy Wags, the Yankees 11 runs tonight against Baltimore. A-Rod have a home run? No. Teixeira have a home run? Who's the happiest guy in New York? Mark Teixeira, now that A-Rod's back. Does he have 6 home runs? He's hit 340 since A-Rod.
I think they went back to back to back today. I know Swisher was involved in it.
Neither Teixeira nor A-Rod were involved. Swisher, Cano, and Cabrera. The Yankees 11-3 over Baltimore. Star to play tonight in the American League East. Toronto 2.5 over Boston. Yankees 3.5 back. Down the right field line, curving, it'll go foul. Tashner and Coach trying to get together here in the 8th inning with Alex Gonzalez at the plate. Surprised at Toronto, Chris, in the American League East?
I think everybody is, George. You're off to a great start. We saw them in spring training a couple of times. You know, they've got some good pitching. There's no question about that. But boy, 27-15 in that division.
Well, we saw it last year when Cito Gaston took over and we went to town, went to Toronto. It was like the switch got turned. And
yeah, different attitude entirely.
Yep. Brought Nick Leyva back, Gene Tennis. A lot of the old guard. Paul Beeston's back as team president on an interim basis, and it's working. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Gonzalez. He'll sneak that one through. So Alex has his first hit of the night, 1 for 4. Star to play in the American League Central tonight. Detroit, and they've bounced back this year. Congratulations to Dontrell Willis, who won his first game in almost 2 years last night. Detroit with a 1-game lead over Kansas City. Minnesota 4.5 back. The Reds will play the White Sox here in the Civil Rights Weekend in June. They're 5.5 back, and the Indians, who come to town Friday, 8.5 back. Texas with a 3-game lead over Anaheim. That's in the West. And these Phillies start to play tonight, have a 1-game lead over the Mets. Mets 21-16, 5 over. The 21-18, 3 over, and the Phillies 21-16, 5 over at the start of play tonight. Down to third, but foul. Milwaukee in the Central with a 3-game lead over both the Cubs and the Cardinals start to play tonight, and the Reds 4.5 back. How much do you think the Brewers will miss Ricky Weeks? Out for the season with a wrist injury.
I think they'll miss him quite a bit. Very talented player, and he was getting better and better.
That'll get McDonald on the foot. So that'll put runners at first and second with 1 out, and Hannigan will come to the plate.
Tashler came inside to, I think it was Gonzalez, way inside. That's just a slider or a cut fastball right there. It got him not on the foot that is padded, but the back leg, it looked like, that right on the shin bone.
Coast back out to talk to his lefty, and here comes Hannigan, who's had a good night. The homer to make it 2-0 in the second, his first homer of the year. A base hit to left and a pop-up. 2 for 3. Still only 1 out. Cincinnati trying to play add-on. Already with a 4-run lead, 5-1. The Reds now with 12 hits on the night. The only long ball for Cincinnati came off Hannigan's bat, that homer in the second. That's in there. Pitcher spot due up next, and Adam Rosales has moved into the on-deck circle for Cincinnati. Foul down the left field line. Indians will come to town this weekend, while a lot of the Cleveland fans will be rooting for the LeBron James led Cavaliers, who are leading Orlando tonight already by 13, 53-40. There's a bouncer down to first. They'll get 1 at second. No return throw. And it'll be runners at first and third.
Jack Tashler had a ticket to watch that play. I mean, he wasn't late getting off the mound. He was just not there at all. He probably said to Jimmy Rollins, "Ain't my fault." And Rollins said, "That's all right. That's your earned run out there." Whoops. Out of all the times you do that in spring training, the manager will say, "I can't believe after running that guy through 900 of those PFP drills in March, when you need to do it in May, you're not there over there at first base."
Takes a lot to get Charlie Manuel to take his hat off. That did. He took it off and he slapped his leg with it down on the bench. Here's the birthday boy, Adam Rosales, 26 today. Skies this one to center. 1 pitch to Rosales. He skies out. No birthday present today, but he'll take a win. The Reds 3 outs away from a win at home. On your iPhone and iPod, touch get real-time play-by-play video highlights and live audio broadcasts. Visit Reds.com on your iPhone or iPod to purchase and don't miss any Reds baseball all season long. iPod Touch is where you can get all you need to know about the Reds all season long. Well, Coco Cordero, not a save situation, but he'll try to nail this one down as we go to the 9th inning. The Reds 10 of 11 in saves this year. The bullpen has been one of the strengths of this ball club. In fact, pitching overall. And Chris, here we are, I mean, a month and a half into the season. I don't think anybody would have expected around baseball that the Reds would be pitching as well as they are, other than those people that watched this team come together this spring and watched the way it was formulating itself in the offseason. But pitching has been the backbone of this club.
It really has been, George, and we expected that because we saw those so much in the spring, and we knew what to expect out of Johnny Cueto, and I think he's the difference maker right now in this rotation. You know what you'd expect from Aaron Harang. He's much more like Aaron Harang of past than last year. Volquez has been very good at times, and he's gone backwards a couple of times, but he's still a very quality pitcher. Royo keeps you in ball games despite a higher earned run average. He's pitched some dandy games, but I think that it's been Cueto that has really elevated everybody else's game, and they kind of feed off what this young guy has been able to do. Last night he gave up 4 runs to the Philly team, and you know, even if it was just one bad inning, had he stayed away from that bad inning, he'd have been nailed down a win.
Ibanez has got the only marker that the Phillies had tonight. That was a leadoff homer in the 8th. Bounces out a 1-for-4 night for Raul Ibanez, first out of the 9th inning. Phillips to the first baseman Ramon Hernandez, 1 away, and here comes Ryan Howard. By the way, if you joined us late talking about pitching, the rotation tomorrow, it'll be Micah Owings against Joe Blanton in the final of this series afternoon game, and then Friday, Bronson Arroyo will go on Friday against Anthony Reyes, the righty from the Indians. Edinson Volquez is going to be given another day off, so Volquez won't go until Saturday against Cleveland against David Huff, the lefty. And Johnny Cueto goes against Cliff Lee, last year's Cy Young Award winner in the American League, on Sunday. Be on the air for all 3 of those Indian games, 6:30 on Friday and Saturday night, and 12:30 on Sunday. Here's Ryan. Flied out, doubled, and walked. Pitching story of this night, it started Aaron Harang against Jamie Moyer. Harang was outstanding. 7 innings, only 4 hits, a run. That was the Ibanez homer. 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, 109 pitches. Your report card on Aaron.
Aaron Harang gets an A. After a loss last night, you needed a big start out of your stopper, and he gave it to you. I mean, 4 hits to the Phillies in 7 innings. That's getting the job done. Makes managing a little easier when your starting pitching goes out and sets the tone like that.
Jamie Moyer, 6 innings, 9 hits, 3 runs, couple of strikeouts and a walk, 105 pitches. He left trailing 3-1. The Phillips triple plated 2 more, and Cordero takes care of out number 2 of the 9th inning, a strikeout of Howard. Ryan Howard strikes out for the first time tonight, the 46th time this year. He's 3rd in the league in strikeouts.
Boy, when you can work on this pitch, a little two-seamer that gets that left-handed hitter off the plate and have a backup front door fastball, that is a nasty, very difficult pitch to negotiate.
And he's ahead to Jason Worth. Worth tonight, 3 strikeouts, all of them against Harang. Hitting stars for Cincinnati tonight, a run scoring hit by Phillips in the first, a homer by Hannigan in the second, a run scoring hit by Bruce in the third, and then the triple by Phillips in the 7th. 1-2. Worth 1 strike away from the golden sombrero. And gas just misses outside at 94 miles an hour. Gonzalez. Dusty Baker on the smiling side of the scoreboard tonight. Congratulations abound. Brandon Phillips.